everybody. Welcome to the 191st episode of the Sawdust Nation Podcast. I am Tim from Gears and Fire. With me, as always, is Nap.
From Nap's Naughty Works, LLC.
And Josh from North Country Woodworking.
Yeah, I'm Greg from Plattevalley Woodworks, and I get to hang out with the cool dudes on the Sawdust Nation Podcast, so I'm pretty pumped.
I mean, I'm cool.
You just gave us way too much credit.
Oh, come on.
How important do you think we are?
I'm not important at all.
Pretty darn important, that's what I think.
That's what we appreciate about you.
You guys give me all the free stuff, so I gotta love it, right?
Sounds good,
free
man.
stuff. You've been 3D printing with that printer you won on our live. How's that going?
It's actually going really well. Sure, that thing's awesome. I've got it dialed in, I think, I hope, and can just make some nicky knacks for now, and I'm going to work on my 3D design abilities. I've been taking a fusion class on YouTube University, and hopefully eventually I can start designing something and printing out my own stuff, which would be pretty sweet. So
I saw that. That was like a 30-day YouTube class, something like that.
Yeah, I believe it was about 30 days. There's a job per day that you get to go ahead and do.
Okay.
From what I hear, day number 8 is probably the hardest. You had some issues with day number 8, right?
yes, I did. Day 8 really kicked my butt. I think there's something with the program that was causing it, but I haven't gone back and finished it, but now I'm dealing with day 10, so I've kind of passed it off.
So, like, what's your opinion of Fusion in general? Like, how do you feel? Like, is the program intuitive? Does using the program make sense? Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, that's a great question. I started doing SketchUp just because that was what I knew about, and I pulled up that program and used it, and it was pretty easy. And the minute I tried to jump on Fusion 360, I got totally confused because the way they have it set up to start, just to get started with sketching or drawing, is completely different.
I hear basically you go through the basics and you get to explore those, and then as you progress, you get more advanced. I mean, Greg, you've been telling us about it this entire time and how the program has got you from step 1 to, more and more advanced each time. What's been the hardest technique you've had to do so far?
The hardest thing so far has been embossing, and that's what got me caught up on that doorstop. It just wouldn't. There was something to do with the design. And it wouldn't connect all 3 sections that it needed to, and it wouldn't emboss on it. So I just need to go back and do them as individual sections. But really, it's just the minor things.
I bet you it kind of comes to you a little bit each time.
Yeah, because he said there's like a big disconnect between SketchUp and Fusion, and I think that's pretty darn typical across a lot of programs. Like, you just have to have a different mindset whenever you're going to attempt a new CAD system, whether it's 2D or 3D. Like, if you have a mechanical aptitude, you can kind of work your way through which buttons to push. You know what I mean? Like, there's a 3D sense to it regardless of what software you're using. I've never tried SketchUp. That's kind of on my list too, because I would like to understand that side of it. But from what I've seen, they all have a pretty common theme. Like, you draw a shape and you either extrude it or you cut it. It kind of starts with that. That's pretty cool, man. Like, it sounds like Fusion is relatively intuitive. Like, I mean, you're like, with guidance, like, you can figure out where the commands are.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It takes a little bit of instruction, but yeah, once you get it started, it kind of rolls pretty easily. I haven't had major issues. I had a few things that I get caught up on, but a lot of it's just me trying to jump around and watching a video at the same time while I'm trying to draw, because if I don't do that, then I just don't catch the I just don't get it. I have to actually physically do the act in order for it to set into my brain and actually work out. Yeah. So I'm not a big book learner. I'm a big hands-on guy. So
yep.
I think a lot of those makers are
kind of someone looking over your shoulder and saying, "Hey, try this, do this." But
Right, absolutely.
my biggest thing, like I'm the same way too. It's like, hey, try this, and then I immediately ask why. Why am I doing that? What's the reason for that? So I think that's a huge boon if you can get it. Like if somebody is right there to kind of help you along.
Oh, absolutely. I can't. I couldn't do it without somebody's hand holding me and keeping me steady, whether it's just that video. Like I really need, what I'd like to have is I'd like to have the double screen, and then I could have one side be Fusion and one side be YouTube, and just kind of bounce back and forth. I mean, right now my best option is I put it on the TV out in the shop and I sit with my laptop out here and try to do it, or I put my phone up and use it on the phone and bounce back and forth. But it just takes a little extra time. They're nice short videos. That's the good thing about it, is you got like a 15, maybe a 20-minute video max. And then you can, I generally take about 45 minutes to get through one video, but that's pretty good, because if I'm like at the end of the day after a long day at work, or at the end of the shop night, you can just go in and just sit down and relax, do a quick video, sketch something up real quick, and then you can just be done. Or you can take a night and just do a couple in a row. They're real simple, real easy to get started.
That's what I hear.
I'm wondering if does anybody know how long the videos are, each video?
You said about 15 to 20 minutes.
You said
that
15
right,
minutes tops.
So would it be helpful to like watch the entire thing first and then restart it and go through it with the instructor?
It might. I've tried that before, and that would help if my brain could wrap around what they said the first time around. But I think it's just, for me personally, it's easier to just jump right in and start going, and keeps my attention span on the task at hand, as opposed to watching it and then turning around and rewatching it. Because by the time I'm done, I've watched the video like 5 or 6 times.
Sure. Okay.
That's fair.
I was going to tell you, man, if there's a video, I think 15 minutes is my max, because I did the same thing with Vectric, because I had to learn. Like, so I had Carbide Create for the longest time when I had a Shipoko, and then I went to another program with the Vectric because it's just better.
Right.
And had these how-to videos, and luckily for me, they were between 5 and 15 minutes, because had they been any longer, I'd be like, and I'm figuring this out by myself. He says I need to speak up louder. I'm not feeling so hot, so of course I'm not speaking as loud. So I'm just gonna like have the mic all the way in my face, like this. Yeah, something like that. Just
stuff it in there.
But yeah, so can you hear me a little bit better there, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
If you can get a little closer, a little more mouth, a little better. Yeah. There we go.
No, but I think 5 to 15 minutes is good. I think if they broke most longer tutorials typically have 5-minute segments in the same video, so you can you go through 5 minutes. Okay, cool. Did I not understand that 5 minutes, or am I good and go forward? Okay, I'm good. I'm going to go forward to the next 5 minutes, because like Greg, it's hard to digest a lot of information, especially when it's new, and be proficient, I think. So I don't know if that's what you run into, Greg, if it was a little longer, or if it just takes a minute to digest the information that you've received. At least that's
right.
what it is for me.
Yeah, so it takes that brain a minute.
If I say, Greg, I need you to print me out a cup holder that has like a little flag on it, and then print it. Can you draw that up in a half an hour?
It might take a little longer, half hour, because I think it's brand new to him. But
right, but that's what I'm saying. Is like, at what point can you say, okay, somebody needs this thing? You know, like drop like a basic mouse. Do you think you can hack that out?
No. I managed to draw a top hat, which is just a bunch of circles and extruded up and conjoined. That's my first solo draw, but
right on.
It's looking good though.
The ideal is I have a Ring doorbell, and I've got my siding's really short. Like, it's not super tall siding. Each piece is not super tall. It's really short, and none of the mounts actually fit it properly. So ideally, what my purpose for learning this is to actually eventually be able to draw that up in Fusion and make a special mount for my ring so I can hook it up with my doorbell. Now, I could just stick it next to the door and it would be fine, but...
Hey, Tim, sorry, real quick. Tim, stop assaulting your keyboard.
It's
Oh my God. What did it
it's
do
a
to you?
mechanical keyboard. I don't know, man. Maybe I just have the sensitivity way high. My bad. I'm trying to tell Jason that, like, yes, there are SolidWorks classes out there, but they ain't free.
So who's beating their keyboard with an inch of his life?
It's a mechanical. That's fault number one.
Everyone at some point or some level as a designer, I think you've done pretty good so far. I don't think
Right.
you give yourself enough credit with that top hat, because honestly, that was genius for the problem that you were, having.
Yeah, I just really want to up my game. I want to have that ability to actually put something down in 3 dimension and show a client or a customer and just show myself.
Say you are super proficient with Fusion. What do you think you will print the most? Like, what's the most functionality you are expecting out of that?
Truthfully, I think it would be amazing if I could use it to just make items for the shop, repair things maybe around the house or for people. That would be the biggest thing, because right now I'd be so cool to be able to say, oh yeah, I can make that for you if you want me to. I can just sketch it out on Fusion and throw it over to the 3D printer and print something out and whatnot.
That's perfect.
I just
Like, we have a broken knob on our dryer that, like, I lasered out a piece of acrylic and it's got the D shaft on it and it turns, but it's kind of awkward. If I could print myself a nice little knob, that'd be perfect.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's just what it comes down to, is just wanting to be able to fix things or create things or whatever. And I mean, I got notification just today. I got an email from one of the filament companies that I get stuff from, and they have a nylon Kevlar, and they have a nylon carbon fiber filament.
Yep.
And you just have to get a nicer nozzle, a more heat resistant nozzle than what the stock is, like the brass ones are, and you can print with that. So I think that'd be kind of cool, but I don't know that I'd ever go that far.
Never know, man. Never say never.
Yeah. Once you
Right.
start getting
So-
into it, you're going to get deeper and deeper into it.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of different applications you can use for that printing. I mean, okay, so like let's consider the rest of your workshop. You do woodworking, and then you're 9 to 5. You're a plant specialist, something like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So during the day, I'm a plant guy. I got my associate's degree in commercial horticulture, which basically just means I like to play around with plants. And so during the day, I work at a local nursery in their production greenhouses, growing all the perennial grasses and flowers every year. So we're getting ramped up. My first shipment just showed up today. I got about 2,200 little tiny plants waiting for me next week to start putting in pots. So pretty exciting time for us right now.
That's cool. Yeah, the pre-spring game show.
Yeah, spring starts around Valentine's Day or the week before for us, and we're like the nursery industry. We are a season ahead basically. Like we'll get fall plants in right as spring is ending, and we'll be growing those all summer to turn around into fall to sell them, and then Christmas starts right at November, right about the 1st of November, and we do Christmas right up through December, and then it's prep time for the spring. We get about 2 months to get everything cleaned up, get everything turned around, and ready to start growing annuals and perennials again.
That's awesome.
What's your
So
favorite
tell us a
season?
little bit about some of your woodworking projects. What are you working on right now?
Right now, I've actually got a spring market coming up next month. I'm like 2 weeks out. So I'm just kind of doing projects for that. I want to get a few cutting boards made up. Here recently, I did a marble solitaire game for a friend of ours, and that turned out really sweet, really cool. I'd like to maybe get one of those built, put together. My boss's dad introduced me to a game called Pegs and Jokers, and they have a wooden playing board, and it's kind of like Sorry, the board game Sorry, only it's using like pegs and cards. So I think I'd like to throw a few of those board little things together if I have the time, and little things like that. Spring's tough for me because a lot of the stuff I make, like cutting boards and things like that, you're looking at Christmas presents, and coasters are really good Christmas presents and stuff. And spring really isn't that big of a gifting time, so you got to kind of work your way around that and see what else you can make to get people interested.
Sure, very cool.
Yeah, my biggest project right now is I'm working with a local glass blower here at the University of Nebraska Kearney, and he had contacted me about making a mold so that he could do repeatable stemless wine glasses, and did up a quick test project with a nice big piece of ash I had sitting in the corner, and I caught your attention, didn't it, Nap? Nap woke up.
No, I've been listening, but as soon as I heard about a nice piece of ash, I was like, really? Tell me more.
We all respect a nice piece of ash.
Absolutely. So I did a quick piece on that. Got to go over to the studio and watch that amazing craft. That was pretty interesting, pretty cool. And now I'm in the process of finishing off the mold out of cherry for him, so that he can have the actual real mold that he needs out of it.
You said something about when you made an ash, the wood or the water evaporated really quickly, and that they use cherry because it holds the moisture better. Is it through trial and error they figured that out, or is it like a trade secret? Is there a better wood that might hold better for that kind of project?
I don't know. I don't really know the ins and outs. He basically said that they do use cherry because it retains moisture a lot better and a lot longer. And I did notice it out at the studio when he pulled that ash blank out of the water, used it once, and then left it out. The water evaporated at least from the exterior of the lumber pretty quick. And when they were using, like, every other piece of wood they had in the studio was made out of cherry, and it's always wet. And that's the thing about it. They use it. They always have a bucket of water with their tools that they're using right next to where they're working the glass. And they had a really big tub with a bunch of tools sitting in it that were wet. And the idea is the char will build up on the outside, and along with the water and the char, that'll protect that wood underneath of that for longevity. But being that it's a natural product, they eventually wear out and they have to replace that sort of stuff. So it's pretty interesting stuff I never really knew about, never even thought about. Learn something new every day.
I think it was 2-3 episodes ago we had a guy in here that was the naturalist. Like like all the scientific terms about like the elasticity of wood, the compression strength. That was really cool.
Darren from Style H Woodworking.
Yep.
He's really good at that kind of stuff. We have a wide variety of specialties when it comes to woodworking. Our day jobs. You just look here. You got engineer. You have a botanist, essentially. That sums that up. And then, what Nap and I do military wise. But we all bring a lot to the table outside of woodworking. And it's truly amazing how, like, a job that you never thought you would have, you could learn so much from. That might play into something later on for you. You know what I'm saying? That might be a side hustle that no one else has.
I'll just say Plattevalley Pots. Plattevalley Plants and Pots. Say that 10 times fast.
Right. Well, and that's kind of the thing I've thought about doing is, trying to combine the two things together. Like, I've got a lathe. I can turn vases and I could turn pots and whatnot. So really, essentially, I could put those two together. That's really how I started when I started making stuff. I made I had these little chunks of pine that I cut out and I drilled a hole in them, and we actually sold them out at work for air planters or air plants, because the air plants don't need soil. They just sit out in the air, and you just need something to display them in. And I made a bunch of that little half circles with holes drilled in the top of them. It was pretty neat.
That's awesome. How long you been doing woodworking, stuff like this?
Regularly, I started about 2020. Decided that, I'd been farting around in the shop for years before that. I grew up around it. My grandfather was a huge woodworker. So every Sunday we'd go down and in his basement, my brother and I would want to play pool, but he'd have to come down and take this week's projects off the pool table, because that was like his assembly and like finished drying area. He'd put the cover on the table and he'd be like, oh, well, we got to go. So we'd spend like an hour talking about his projects, and then he'd clear off the pool table, and then he'd proceed to literally beat us to death at pool. So
it's one way to learn.
Yeah.
So that was the guy that introduced you to like power tools and how to shape wood, all that good stuff.
Yeah, really, he did. The lathe I'm working on was his. My 12-inch Craftsman bandsaw is his, and my drill press is his. So I'm dealing with a lot of hand-me-down tools that
that's
have a lot
great
of meaning.
Yeah, it's a great source of tools. I have two. I have a very old Craftsman drill press, and then I have a very old Craftsman lathe. Both were hand-me-downs. I don't have any lathe tools yet, but I'm still waiting to crack that guy open. But I remember like the first time seeing power tools was in tech ed in middle school, right? So did you have any classes like that when you were in school?
I did in high school. I took a wood shop, and we also had a metal shop class. I took both of those, so I learned how to weld back in the day. I haven't touched a welder since then. I'd love to have one, but that's just another piece of equipment in the garage.
It's on the list.
Yeah, right. It is. So if Sawdust Nation ever wants to give away welders, that would be great.
If we give away
you guys can do that right after that kiln Josh posted the other day in the maker chat.
If we give away a welder,
I'm taking it. So
you're going to need a lot of patrons for that one.
We're working on that.
That's actually a good segue real quick. So we're talking about Patreons. We really appreciate the Patreons because we can give giveaways due to them. And we have another Patreon that signed up for the top tier. Reg Leg Custom Woodworks signed up. And he's actually the guy that won the Workbench Con ticket. And he'll be heading down there, and we'll be meeting up with him to see him again this year. So, thank you to him. And this is our shout out to him. And if you want to shout out, go ahead and sign up for the Patreon account. It's $10 a month on the top tier. And hopefully, Greg, you can speak to it yourself. You're a Patreon. Tim was a Patreon. Nap was a Patreon. I was a Patreon.
$10 a month, you can see all the goofy crap we do behind the scenes.
Yeah, we got that. You get an extra giveaway. This year we had a separate giveaway for just our Patreons for Workbench Con. So we'll do continuous stuff. You get a Christmas gift, depending on, everyone gets one, depending on what tier you are, how much. We try to stack as much stuff as we can in there that might be useful to you. I'm pretty sure most of our Patreons already lost their 10 millimeter.
Haven't even touched my 10 millimeter yet.
Been writing in mine. Dear Diary, today was the best day ever.
So
I still haven't used my bag of sawdust.
Well, that's a very special bag.
It is.
Yep.
I'm going to be holding on that forever.
I used my bag of sawdust, and we made fire starters with wax. And it worked. See? Guaranteed to work every time.
And if you want your own bag of sawdust, just reach out to us here at Sawdust Nation Podcast. We'll get you a bag anytime you want.
I'm more than happy
sawdust.
to send a trash
Sawdust.
bag of sawdust.
Yeah, I love being a patron. I tell you what, it's I was middle tier, I think, for the longest time, and after the couple of giveaways, I felt bad not giving you more money, so I bumped myself up to the top tier because just I get more out of not just the great things you guys have given me, but just I get more out of the podcast and the community you guys have created around this podcast. So I had to go to top tier because there's no other podcast I listen to that makes this kind of connection with the extended listeners, because it's just amazing. I can't thank you guys enough for doing what you guys do. So I more than happy to jump on the top tier and support with Patreon.
We definitely appreciate it. Like I said, like you said, there are a lot of podcasts out there, but we definitely do it in our own special way. That's for sure.
Appreciate it, guys. I mean, we work hard to try to make everyone part of the community. And if you want to be part of the community and you're on Instagram, we do have a maker chat. And we share part of that. And if you want to be a part of the maker chat, just hit me up on Instagram and I'll add you. We talk about shop and everything in between. Help support each other because, like Greg and Tim are hitting on, we are a community. And it's more about being a community than just woodworking. I mean, that's a big part because we all enjoy doing it. But let's see. What else we got going on, guys? Super Bowl. Do we want to talk a little bit about that? Everyone have a good time?
You know what I did during the Super Bowl?
I didn't watch it.
We went grocery shopping because no one is in the store.
That's brilliant.
Meanwhile, Josh was trying to figure out when Taylor was going to land and like all this other stuff.
And you got to tell my secrets.
I didn't watch it.
I watched
really?
it. It was a decent game, but
I thought it was a good game. It was one of the best I've seen in a while. But
I was rooting for them 49ers because I just can't root for the Chiefs. I'm a Broncos fan, and it hurts my soul to root for those darn Chiefs.
That's fair. Honestly, I didn't care if either team would win. They both worked really hard to get there. Our family, for the most part, was on the Chiefs side just because that's the team that, between the two we root for the most out of the two. But I enjoyed it. We had a good time. I got to smoke some meat, and we ate it. The wife and I are still recovering from COVID, so our taste buds are not as what you call refined. But for the bland taste that we did have, it was good. And so we had a good time.
And I'll just throw my little 2 cents on what Jason said. The Lions should have been there. I'll tell you what, if the Lions wouldn't have gave up the second half from the 49ers game, the Chiefs would not have.
Here we go.
They would not have won. I'm sorry.
This should have been our year.
The way I see it,
it should have been their year to go. I don't know if the outcome is as
I don't know what happened
as such, but
and I think it would have been because the team that the Chiefs played the very first week of the Lions season was not the same team that played towards the end of the season. But hey, listen, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and hopefully we'll be back this close next year.
Well, you guys got a team and you can play, so next year you should be up there. You know what I'm saying? You have another opportunity.
And we'll see. Again, I'm not the one playing. I'm not the one making decisions. I'm not the one throwing the football, making the catches. I love.
You're the one shouting the calls at the TV. Come on.
My favorite's like, oh yeah, my team did this. Is like, okay, it's your team, but you didn't win. Your team won. They did the work. The team you root for won. That's who won. Anyways,
I don't know. I broke my rules when the Broncos played the Seahawks in the Super Bowl and they lost. So when they played the Panthers, I followed my rules and they won. So I think I had something to do with it.
You got to wash underwear.
On the left side of the couch. Yeah, yep. All that stuff.
No social media. Stay off of it. Don't call me. Don't text me. Just leave me alone and let me watch the game, and I got to do it by myself.
Yeah, I do typically go radio silent during football games. So,
Facebook says otherwise.
No, I go radio silent after the fact.
Okay, fair enough.
Because now during the Michigan games, there was a couple times like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" And then the Dan Campbell post I made, that was at the end of the game.
Okay. Well,
like the last 3 minutes of the game. I was like, "All right, Dan, 3 points, Dan. That's all you needed."
Laces out, Dan.
Sitting back and enjoying the post. That's all. But yeah, it was an interesting year. It definitely was different than previous, and it's exciting to see what comes out next year. But with that, well, Greg, what do you have on what do you have going in the shop currently? What's your latest project?
What's on the bench?
What's on the bench?
Well, use that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just fixed
another podcast.
Yeah. I just fixed my laser so I can get that up and running. I have a little 20-watt Ortur laser, Laser Master 3. Upgraded it from the 10-watt to the 20-watt for a Christmas present this year and couldn't have been happier. Started acting up on me the other day and finally was able to troubleshoot it and get it straightened out, get it back up and running so I can do that. Like I said earlier, I've got that cherry mold that I'm working on for the glass blower. I want to get that done and out of the shop here as soon as I possibly can. And then it's just going to kind of be a few things here and there. I want to make a few cutting boards, a few game pieces, and just get that all squared away with this market coming up in early March. Gotta have plenty of product for that. And hopefully that works out. Maybe pick up this last Christmas. I picked up a few new clients and a few new projects thanks to the market. So if you don't sell a lot, you hope to get maybe a few side custom jobs. And that's really what I enjoy doing right now is the custom stuff because it really excites me when somebody comes to me with a project and says, "Hey, could you make this? Do you think you could do this? Could you think you could do that?" And that's what I really enjoy is the sitting down and saying, "Okay, well, how do I do it this way? Can I do it that way?" And figuring all the ins and outs of it, and then going into the shop and putting that into reality and making an actual physical product it really excites me right now. Maybe one day I'll get into more bigger furniture making, but I don't know. I made myself a kitchen dining room table, and that was a project.
Yeah, but it's like anything. As you do more and more, you get more proficient because you learn so much, and then you learn how to get faster. And I'm right there with you. I mean, like my first initial goal was to do furniture when I, started this journey. And I thought every time I think I'm going to have time to go ahead and do a project similar to that, kind of get back to those roots. I get swamped again, and then I go through the waves of time with that, and I get close, and then get more jobs. Sometimes you don't necessarily choose your path; it kind of chooses itself for you, and that's okay. What you're learning and doing now, like you said, you have jobs you never thought you would have. You've learned a lot. You've grown. I mean, just from the time we've been following each other, I've seen you grow tremendously in your talent. And, it's really exciting to see you take it a step further with every project.
Right. Yeah,
that laser's a fantastic tool, man. You're doing some cool stuff with that.
Well, and it's all your guys' fault that I got a laser in the first place, because all I hear about is laser this and laser that, and I'm like, I gotta get a laser, but I'm not going Omtech because it's too expensive. So I just I'll just put my toe in the water. And last year, right after Christmas, I told the wife, I said, I think I want to buy this laser and give it a try and see what it can do for me and for the business. And she's like, all right. And we got into it, and heck, I ended up teaching her here a few months ago. She's like, I want to learn how to use it. Show me what you can do. And I got her on the light burn, and I showed her the ins and outs of that a little bit and put her onto it. And she's she's out here every couple of days doing something on it, and
that's cool.
She's been bugging me
awesome.
for weeks. Like, when are you going to get the laser fixed? When are you going to get the laser fixed? I'm like, I'm working on it. Tech support is not responding. But yeah,
diodes are fun. They're just sometimes a little testy.
Yeah, they are. Sometimes they want to work, and sometimes they don't.
But always pick
the most issues.
Inopportune moments to not work.
But I mean, I also like kind of touching on the whole fusion thing too. Once you get more versed with that, that can also generate files to be used by the laser as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to be a nice thing to be able to do, because I have thoughts in my head on what I'd like to be able to produce with this laser and or the 3D printer. And in order to do that, I really need to get proficient with some sort of a design software. And what better software than to go jump into Fusion 360, because it seems to be a pretty top tier, even using the at home version right now, just to try to get my feet wet in it. It's really there's a lot you can do with it, and a lot of different areas that I never even thought about. Just coming from a program such as SketchUp, you go to Fusion and it's like there's little things in there that are just right there that SketchUp didn't. I'm sure it probably has it, but it's not as obvious. And I'm just getting that feeling that Fusion 360 is just a higher level product.
And I'm confident at some point you're going to get proficient with Fusion to the point where I'm done with the home version. I need the full blown version. From what I've seen, it is a solid program.
Absolutely. And that's really the idea, is eventually to get it to be producing cash flow to where I'm like, I need the full version. I need to pay for the full version and get it done. Yep. So it'd be awesome.
I said the program I designed a table, right? And I was able to take a lot of those piece files and turn them into stuff that I could do on the CNC router. So instead of hogging out like a giant tenon, I just made a tool path on the CNC. So it saved me some time. But the same thing can be done with Fusion. Like I said, it can make you more efficient whenever you're designing furniture or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to come back. Come one day and just say, "Yep, I know exactly what to do," and click, click, click. 20 minutes later, you got a full-on 3D design ready for a customer to look at and approve or change, whatever. It'll be awesome.
Sweet,
there's so much to it. Like Tim hit on, you can do it for pretty much your normal jobs. You can have basically everything planned out, to designing 3D files, to CNC files. You can sell the files and the plans based on all that. It is truly a world-opening program. So is SolidWorks, but I just don't have any experience.
But even SketchUp too, anybody can make a very specific angled jig, right? I mean, some of those angles on the table are super specific, so I needed something to hold the chisel at the right angle. So I just cut my own jig. But that was because of a 3D SolidWorks. That's 3D software. If you can make the file, you can cut the file.
Yep. Absolutely.
I know a few makers that we all know are very talented in, I'm dropping the name, SketchUp. Now, SketchUp, for me, was the first CAD program that I actually got in. When I decided to start this up as more of a business side, more so than the hobby side, I was actually in a deployment. And I started watching every YouTube video while we were working. I started looking into a whole bunch of stuff. And SketchUp was one of those programs I jumped into when I designed a table, a bed frame, a cubby, a whole bunch of stuff. It took weeks for me to do this stuff. And I've looked back at it since, and they're solid files, but they were done the hardest way possible. And some of those people that I was referring to that are really good at SketchUp is got Kumo from Kumo's Workshop, and then you have Matt from Wacky Works. those two individuals can basically build anything in SketchUp and basically use it like Fusion. It is truly amazing some of the stuff I've seen them make and then operate off CDC files, you name it. So
you do not need expensive software to do that stuff. You just need the gumption to learn any program.
Yes, and that's where I'm
as
trying
long
to
as
hit
they have
at
access to it.
Yep. I mean, like, when you get so far, you might want to dive into it deeper. And, you might be producing a money stream, like Greg was saying, to buy the extended version. But it is truly amazing what Fusion allows, free on their program for you to learn.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So, Josh, what's going on in your shop here?
Well, truth be told, I got some things done this weekend. After just so far this year's been interesting. Let's say that. There's been a twist and turn around every weekend. That being said, I did 2 Pennsylvania plaques that went out or going out tomorrow. I did a military working dog plaque that went out today. The shadow box I've been working on, I'm at not a stoppage. I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie to do the backer on this. I could have done that backer and almost been done with the shadow box, and this is full honesty with you guys. But the thought of having to do the dado and everything, it's making me stop and think. Is this going to be something I have to deal with and get through? And just, I can't be too scared, but I have to be cautious. And that's the truth. Yeah, it's healing. It's just like a scab now, and like it's there. It's the shorter of the 2 fingers. But it's just one of those things I'm dealing with. So the way it's that shadow box doesn't do right away. They do want to have it, but they understand that I'm taking my time with it. I did get another round shadow box to be sending out. It's for a Navy, retired Navy. The family's getting them a shadow box because they never received one. And this is very special to me because the client is the first shadow box ever made. Reached out to get this. They were impressed and they loved theirs so much they reached back out to me for it. Even though I'm gonna have to ship it and deal with that. So I always wondered, because that first shadow box, it was good, it was built well, but it's the first one. There was a lot of lessons learned with that, and they obviously loved it. And I just, you can't beat that. So thanks to Nat, because I was on the phone with him that entire time. He remembers that, I guarantee it, because I was nervous. Not nervous. I couldn't understand how to do certain things because it wasn't making sense. And 2 pull-locks on the phone late at night, it just gets worse.
Hold the phone. Okay, listen. I was being the smart one. You were being the, I can't wrap my head around it.
You had the experience of doing it before.
Right.
I had the not experience of not doing it before. And like, he was speaking plain English, but in my mind, I'm very visual. I think
power.
Greg, you're the same way. I couldn't visualize what he was telling me. I understood it, but I could not visualize it to actually proceed and do it. So after he explained it like 10 times and we drew pictures to each other, I eventually got it. It was fun. So I got that going on. I also have to build 3 photography boxes. I have a OSI mallet I need to ship out. I have to inlay some coins, and I actually this weekend I got the shadow box facade basically done. I got the mallet pretty much pre-made, needs engraving and final sanding put together, and coin inlay. I got the 3 plaques done. I got the stove topper I'm working on. I got that glued up and basically it needs to be engraved and put together. I got a lot of stuff done in the shop. I was pretty proud of my progress. And I got a pretty big project coming up. There's a grandfather clock a client wants to repurpose. So I am doing a 2-foot long tabletop clock. And I am doing a decor box out of this clock using the original wood, which is pretty nice wood. Can't remember right now if it's maple or cherry because I inspected it not too long ago. But long story short, I'm going to use as much components from it as I can. A little epoxy work. Probably going to have to add a little bit of wood here and there, but the outside, for most parts, will be original. It's not a project I normally would take on, but I could tell it means a lot to the client. Yeah. So, is it going to be that difficult? Go ahead.
I was just saying, you said like 2 foot like tabletop clock. I'm picturing like this big ornate thing on a mantle.
Like a half moon, like clock, and
something that goes on like a mantle.
Yeah, and then like the front face is going to be epoxy with some of the gold relief and black epoxy with some clear, and then there's going to be a clock face on it. So I already told them I'm going to do what I can to meet their vision. That's my job, is to, what they described to meet that. But I said, you got to be realistic. I charge you the price I did because this is going to be a lot of work to work with already finished wood. I got to peel back the layers of time on this thing, strip it, what have you. And like, it's going to be one of those projects, much like Greg, you were talking about, dude. Not really something I do very often. And there's a reason for it, because I don't like using chemicals I don't need. So, but it should be fun. So I got a whole lot going in the shop. Thankfully, all the stuff I needed to get out before March is just that shadow box, the photography boxes, and that mallet, which I can probably knock out this weekend. And then the rest of it, I can kind of, not slow roll, but like I'll have everything glued up and ready to go. The front face of that round navy shadow box is going to be engraved, so I don't really have to do much work with the facade, and it'll be big enough for a flag and just a few stuff to go in it. So it'll be just a normal box in the back. It's not going to be round or anything crazy. So I don't foresee that being too bad. Other than that, that's what I got going on. I've been 3D printing like crazy. I just did a firmware update, and for some reason, it's faster, and it seems like I don't have any of those small issues. So I've been just printing like crazy. I be doing a whole Zelda project with the shield and the sword, and I have a whole bunch of just little side projects I'm doing with that. I will be making some stuff and posting it on either our Patreon page or my Etsy for Sawdust Nation Podcast. And it's going to be different 3D parts and stuff. And that's going to be a whole line in orange for purchase. And it's, I'm not going to say what it is. It's going to be small stuff, but try to get into that market a little bit. I've been saying it long enough. And it's about time to step forward with that and try to, monetize this thing a little bit. And all proceeds will be going back to the Sawdust Nation Podcast. And then that will help with the whole giveaways and stuff like that. So, some big stuff coming. We got Workbench Con as well. Napa will be coming down here soon. Spend some time with me, quality time. And then,
payback is a thing. I hope you know that.
So, how far is it from Napa to Josh? How long of a drive is that?
Well, I'm not driving,
he's flying down.
thankfully. I'm flying down. Believe it or not, it was, let's see, I think it was roughly actually even less than that. So it was $400 for me to fly to Josh and back. If I would have flown from here to Atlanta, it would have been roughly $1,000. So,
wow.
Okay. I was like, yeah, we'll just go ahead and take that trip to Illinois, and then we'll drive back.
Yep. It just made sense because it's like a 8-hour trip, and like for gas, it's going to cost us like, I don't know, I think it's going to cost like $400. So that's like less than the plane ticket I was going to have to buy for it. So, I came up with a plan, and plus this time we'll have our own vehicle down there. We get to kind of do our own thing, and we're not kind of stuck walking everywhere. But it's gonna be fun. There's gonna be a lot of things going on this year, and hopefully some exciting things coming out of it. So, but that's enough about me. Tim, what do you have going on in your shop?
Not a ton, actually. Like I said, I'm still kind of overhauling like where stuff is, putting stuff away, throwing stuff out. That's a big one. And like I said, just basically reclaiming house space and workshop space, which has been pretty therapeutic. Because, you move into a house, and I don't know about you guys, but, like, it seems like your entire family and friends network just gives you stuff. Like, whether you want it or not, here, have this stuff. And so, like, over the past year or so, I've been throttling back, and, like, within the past month or so, I've been, like, throwing a lot of stuff away that I just don't need. So, like, a lot of organization, that type of thing. Patreons, you can kind of see in the background, that's, like, the very beginning of my hardware apothecary. So, like, I take everything apart, whether it's, like, a printer or whatever. There's always little hardware, nuts, bolts, screws, that type of thing. I'm the type of guy that I like to save that stuff. So I needed a landing spot. So for a long time, my landing spot was just a pile. Like, somewhat organized, but it was a pile. So now I'm starting what is going to be my dream apothecary. So basically, once I move to the garage, it's going to be this giant chest of drawers, 2 feet deep. Something that you can take out, and it's got every single possible number 4 screw, number 8 screw. You get what I'm saying. So that took a lot of time, just getting that. Organizing all my leftover plastic pieces, that type of thing. So it's a lot of material organization. Outside of that, I'm looking at my workspace, my office space here, like where the CNC is. I started building a new computer desk for that. It's nothing fancy, but it's a more manageable workspace. Because I think we touched on this last week. If you go into your shop and it's dirty and it's unorganized, you got junk everywhere, it's hard to think straight. And so that's what I'm trying to fix. And so, like, all of my office stuff, too, has been kind of disorganized. So this is... my 2024 is organizing and putting away everything. Finally finding a spot for everything. Outside of that, I've just been doing smaller projects, like trying to figure out a repeatable cribbage board that I could sell on Etsy. I'm probably going to start an Etsy shop at some point. Again, I had one years ago. I wasn't really impressed with it. Wasn't really seeing any sales from it. But I think I'm going to give it another college try, so look for that.
Are you, how are you doing your cribbage boards? Are you doing it back there on your CNC, or are you...
Yeah, CNC. So, I have it set up in such a way where I just, throw a foot-long board in there, as long as it's 5 inches wide, foot-long, and at least 7/8 thick. I can do all the cuts from that. So, I'm looking at my entire wood pile. So, as long as I can make some foot-long by 5 inch by 3/8 boards, I can turn that into a cribbage board and then sell it. I'm not selling the material. I'm selling a game piece. So, right. I'll put right in the post saying, look, this is leftover deck wood. I mean, it's treated timber, but it's also, I turned it into a cribbage board. So, here you go. It's not going to be an expensive thing, but it's part of me processing the materials I've been hanging on to and hoarding this entire time. Now, granted, I'm not making them out of walnut, nothing like that. It's just, what kind of crap wood do I have lying around that I can turn into something functional? I saved that piece for something useful someday, right? We've all been in that boat. That's a perfectly good piece of wood. It's not scrap. It's too big to be scrap. Well, this is me trying to turn that into something, and cribbage board just seemed to make the most sense, especially in the upper Midwest where cribbage is king. It just seems like you can't swing a dead cat and find somebody that doesn't know how to play cribbage. You can always find somebody that knows how to play cribbage and is willing to spend just a little bit of money on a functional cribbage board. So that's basically keeping the arts and crafts side of my brain happy, in addition to heavy shop and house organization, more or less. In the background, I have 2 potential customers. One she's drawing up one of those ornate jewelry boxes, where you open it up, it's got drawers within drawers. So I'm still waiting for her design on that for me to actually kind of flesh that out. And then a friend of mine is getting married, and they need all these table numbers and stuff like that. And so she sent me a picture, and it's obviously what she sent me was cut by a laser because like it's a real thin wood strips all ornately. Like I can't really do that on the CNC. You know, my smallest bit is 1/8 of an inch. So I mean, the little sharp inside corners, I can't really do that. Can I make something? Yes, but like I said, they're not looking for anything too fancy. They just need like, I think she said like 35 table numbers, like big old reception. 35 tables, right? So like I want to make sure that I get that job when it comes through. So this weekend I'll be cutting out a couple samples of that. In addition to, I have to make almost like a kid toy sword because both of my daughters are in a play, and one of them, her character, she needs a sword. So I'm just gonna cut out something like that too. So I'm definitely busy when I can actually be down here. It's been a wild ride. Nap. Outside of naps, what have you been doing?
Honestly, napping has been what it has been. Because I've been sick for the past 3 days. The mornings are the worst, and then after I chug a half bottle of Dayquil, I mean the recommended dosage, Air Force. I eat cough drops like they're candy and drink tea and stuff. But by like midday, I'm fine, which works out for tomorrow because I have my physical fitness test tomorrow. Which I'll be fine. I'll pass it. It's not a big deal. But I did it tomorrow. But as far as shop is concerned, I've got all sorts of things going on. But to keep it relatively short, just because it's around some of the same stuff I've always been doing. Let's see, I have plaques out the wazoo. I'm actually making 9 plaques retroactively to last year's awards because they didn't have like a solid plan in place of what they wanted to do for folks, but I provided something for the 4th quarter, and they're like, yeah, we like those, so I'm making 9 more to supplement the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd quarter. And then pending on my either me leaving here or staying here, I've got at least the 1st quarter's plaques for them to do, which I just realized I probably should have put 3 more on there for the arm checks, but it's fine. I'll bill that later. But then I've got a couple like out of the ordinary plaques, like they're not square shaped or triangle or anything. They're like actually cut out shapes that I gotta put on the CNC, do that whole thing, and then do some laser work on some acrylic. I got a shadow box, 2 relatively large coin racks. I actually just got paid for one of the shadow boxes I gotta do. It's the dark oak stain with the light stripes. Individual saw it and said they really liked that particular one, so I'm gonna remake that one. I got a retirement chest / like centerpiece coffee table thing I gotta make. That's in April. I gotta make a tea bag box. Like tea, like what I'm drinking now. You put the tea bags in there or whatever. So I gotta make one of those. That's relatively quick and easy. And then I gotta make another coin rack for a chief that's leaving here. And then, that's really kind of it, though. I mean, plaques, retirement stuff, PCS gifts, nothing too out of the ordinary for me. As far as the shop is concerned, I got to get with Onefinity to figure out where my stuff's at. I've passed the lead time, if you will, for my upgrade, and I'm relatively not concerned, but I want to know where my stuff is. I mean, you don't give lead times that are pretty astronomical and still not make them, especially when you see people getting their things. So yep. I'm going to see what's going on with them. And then hopefully soon after that, once Daniel over PW and CNC gets all his stuff in from shipping, I'll get my ATC at relatively the same time so I can do 1 upgrade rather than 2 upgrades. Because that's going to be an undertaking on itself. The machine's going to be down. So I'm kind of at a point now where it's like, okay, I need to get a bunch of stuff done before Workbench Con so I don't have to do any of those other things in March because some of the stuff is due in March, and I don't want to do it in March because I'll be upgrading my machine. I would like to upgrade my machine and then test it on some 3D work because that's what the ATC is for, is 3D and some other things. So I went on to do bit changes in the middle of a 38-hour job. It just kind of does it for me, which would be nice. And then just keeping the shop clean. I'm on daddy leave right now, even though I think I've been to work half the time I've been on daddy leave so far for random things.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, well, no. So last week was because I had to do my certification loads. So for my job, I have to stay certified on loading munitions. And if I don't do it, I get what's called coded. And yeah, okay, I'm still certified, but now I got to load everything I was supposed to load this month, next month. I ain't trying to do that in a week next month when I come back from leave. F all that. So I took it upon myself to just do those loads last week. And, Sarah was still home, so it really wasn't that big a deal. And this week I got to do a PT test because I'm due at the end of the month. And where am I going at the end of the month? Do you ask? I'm going to Workbench Con. So I can't wait until the end of the month. I have to do it now. So, yeah, a lot of stuff. But yeah, after tomorrow, I won't be at the shop. However, just because, or at work rather, just because work stops doesn't mean the extracurriculars stop. I still have private organization stuff I deal with and all those things that are outside of work. So I still have to make sure those things happen. But outside of that, though, I think pretty soon here, I'm going to start taking a small step back from the extra stuff at work because honestly, it's cool and everything, but I've done what I've needed to do. And I need to take a break from work and doing this extra shit. Because I would like to do the extra stuff I want to do, which is the stuff in my shop. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Time will tell. And then, of course, if I get this job in Louisiana, then, well, surprise, I won't be here much longer. So,
you'll still be here. You're not fooling.
You just can't handle the cold.
Can't handle the cold in my butt. It was negative 17 here like 3 weeks ago.
Texas boy comes up and can't handle the cold of the north.
I'm from Michigan originally, so
I know.
Stop giving me shit.
Got baby
okay?
down in Texas.
God,
got baby down in Texas.
Yeah, the people in Texas are baby. Period. When it comes to anything winter, a little quarter inch of ice and some snow hits the ground and everyone freaks out. The grid goes down and everyone's losing their minds. And I'm like, are you serious?
Have the infrastructure.
No, my favorite's we're gonna buy all the toilet paper and all the water. Like, but why the toilet paper?
When you gotta wipe, you gotta wipe.
Yeah, okay. What are they making toilet paper for it? I mean, come on. But no, people don't know how to winter down in Texas, so
it's Texas. That's why.
It's interesting when you go somewhere different and live for a while or whatever, because everybody's weather is different. I lived in Jersey for 5 years, and when I was out there, I was just like, oh my God, when the snow flies, driving rules are off the table. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, pretty much.
Drive however you want. As long as you get to where you're going, that's the important part. And, anytime the wind blew out there, is a big deal. And I'm from Nebraska, and it blows every day out here, and there's nothing you can do to slow it down. So I was just like, what? 20-mile-an-hour wind? And you guys are like, oh my God, we're going to blow away. I'm like, dude, try 50.
It's like Ellsworth. Yeah. That was like South Dakota. You walk like this, because I remember you stop realizing how much the wind blows. And then we went to from South Dakota to Arkansas, and it wasn't windy. They got wind, but you just walk around, and I remember making a comment it was just nice not being in gust of wind constantly, like a wind tunnel. But,
this place is great. This place is great for wind, and that's really what makes it cold. But outside of that, this place has been uncharacteristically warm. Though we've been wearing shorts outside in 32-degree weather. It's been great.
Yeah, best February ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, wait till March. It's going to come in like a line.
But other than that, guys, like I said, I'm not really too exciting today just because I don't feel so hot. And got all sorts of things on the mind, if you will, the noggin, between work and just what the future looks like. So we'll see.
It's the unknowing that would drive me up the wall.
Oh, it drives me crazy every day. I just find different ways to temper that crazy. So
Go to the shop, make some sawdust.
yeah,
Well, that's when we do a
another thing.
podcast. We can release some crazy every week.
I can't actually go out to the shop during
These
the day.
people actually want to watch us be crazy. That's fantastic. They pay for it.
We
I
love
can't-
it. We love it.
Fantastic. Because we got a lot more where that came from.
I can't go out in the shop because that little dude, he's a ticking time bomb. Doesn't matter. He'll be sleeping and then I'll get up and now he's awake and it's like, okay, well, I can't go in the shop because if I go in the shop, he's gonna wake up when I'm out there and then he's gonna be crying his face off. So I'm just not gonna do that. I wait until the wife gets home, and even then today I was sleeping because I was not feeling so good. So
You gotta learn to put her to bed with a box fan running. So, like, all of your little noises and stuff like that, they don't hear that.
oh no, that's the thing. He needs to know everything and see everything. It's not a matter of the
I
noise.
don't know where you got
It's-
that from.
Not me, that's for sure.
What's happening?
All right.
What are you doing? Can I help? Yeah, you can stand.
Yeah, I wish, but
Well, gents, I think that's a good wrap up
Let's put a
point
ball
for
on this guy.
episode. Yeah. Greg, thank you for coming on, man. We appreciate you taking the time to jump on here with us. It was a good time once we got everything, situated. It's one of those things where technical errors sometimes happen, but you powered through it pretty well, my friend. You got any final words for the podcast?
Biggest thing is I really can't express how thankful I am for this podcast and the community that you guys have created. I found you guys fairly early on in the podcast, and I went back through the old catalog back when there wasn't a huge catalog to go through, and I've been following ever since, and I can't get enough. I've learned so much from you guys. I've learned so much from this community that you guys have created. Mainly this is to you guys. Just keep up the great work. I can't thank you enough. I can't. This community, the knowledge, the fun that we have just in the maker chat on Instagram, that brightens my day, keeps me sane. And to anybody out there that's working, just keep plugging away. It's fun, it's frustrating, but when you get finished with your project and you have something that you can hold up and show, that's the best part. So just keep working on it, keep the community powerful, and have some fun with it.
I like that. Have some fun.
Yep.
Napadoodle?
that's not my name.
Knick-knack.
Really to echo what Greg said though was have fun. There are a lot of times when I'm not having as much fun as I'd like to be, i.e. using my new tools and things like that. I know when I get new toys in the shop, that's typically when I have the most fun. And then sometimes when I'm busy with other things other than the shop, it's not as fun because when I get out there, sometimes it's like I got to go out there and do something for somebody that's not myself. And, sometimes I don't necessarily want to do it. But lately it's been getting better back to I want to actually do it, where I start cranking jobs out. But yeah, if it starts not being fun anymore, take a step back for a second, maybe refresh, and then go back at it, because sometimes we just need that break. But other than that, keep taking care of each other, keep making the community strong, and I'll toss it over to Tim.
Yeah, if my solution, if it's not being fun, get goofy. Then it'll be fun. Then you can find your focus. Because, honestly, if you can't find your focus, you're not going to get anything done. And when there's absolutely squirrels everywhere, you need to find a focus. And sometimes it just means you got to loosen up. So find your fun.
Guys don't leave much for me to take. Thank you for listening to episode 191. Thank you, Greg, for joining us on this podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I have. Big takeaway for me is it's always community. This year is the year of community, and I'm hammering down. we want to make sure that you guys are, well, you're welcome on the podcast. Just have to reach out and we can schedule you. I really hope that you're going to enjoy this year. We have a lot of fun things planned. And with that, our 200th episode is coming up, and it's going to be the Maker episode, Maker giveaway. And we're asking for anyone that would like to donate a project, something they make, something that represents them as a maker, to that giveaway. Because we can give away products, we can give away tools, but sometimes a gift from a maker of their own hands, their own ideas, their own skill, I think is more valuable than anything else. And plus, we'll get your name out there, get to advertise for you a little bit too, and hopefully get some jobs off it. So, if you're interested, slide into our DMs at Sawdust Nation Podcast on Instagram, or our email at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. With that, get in the shop, go make some sawdust, and Sawdust Nation Podcast out.
Out.
Outskis.
Stuff. Albuquerque. Snorkel. See, I can do it too.
Yay! Wasn't that a Smurf? No. Wasn't that a cartoon? Is any of you guys old enough to remember the snorkels?
Yes. I mean, no.
Oh, okay.
The
What the hell is a snorkel?
Tim, you're older than us.
Shut up, Josh. Nobody asked you.
You look younger, but you're older.
But how old is Tim?
26.
Nice.
That's a lie.
Yeah, he can't say it with a straight face. I watched his face turn red as he sat there and laughed about it.
I melted. If you wouldn't just said anything, I would have been just fine.